This episode is sponsored by The Path, the coach-guided membership designed to help you make alcohol small and irrelevant in your life by removing your true desire to grab that next drink. Our science-based, compassion-led program allows you not only to shift your behavior and your relationship around alcohol, but more importantly, uncover and reprogram your subconscious conditioning and neural connections that have been keeping you stuck for years. With daily live breakthrough coaching, an intimate and supportive community, regular peer-to-peer connection calls, and a complete vault of resources, this is where your path to total freedom and effortless enjoyment of your new way of life begins. Join us at nakedmindpath.com. Hi, this is Annie Grace, and welcome to this Naked Mind podcast. And I'm here with Claire. Welcome, Claire. How are you?
Hi, Annie. I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I can't wait to hear your story. I know a bit about it because you put it on the blog and stuff. So I'm so excited to hear it sort of live. But why don't you kind of back us way up to the beginning, even your first drink? Where did it all start for you?
Okay. I've taken some notes as well tonight just to make sure I keep on message. So I guess backing the way up, I would always be given a small amount of alcohol just as a child at Christmas, like a wee bit of eggnog, as you would call it. We call it something else in Scotland for Hogmanay, our New Year, Christmas, a very small glass of sherry. And I always remember thinking, wow, I'm being included into the adult secret world of alcohol. But it wasn't really an issue. My parents didn't really drink. I wasn't really around a lot of alcohol as a child. But the culture in Scotland and other parts of the UK is, as a teenager, you go out with your friends, you buy alcohol, you go somewhere secret and you drink it, and that's how you can start in your drinking career. So that's what I just did when I was just a teenager of 14, maybe. We would go and buy rum, bottles of Bacardi white rum, and go around near a local swimming pool and drink it around the back of that car park, around the back of the swimming pool, just out the bottle. So that was kind of the norm for the teenagers in my area.
And so did that feel like, did you like it or?
Not really, to be honest. I remember not liking the taste. I remember feeling the real effects of it as well, but just wanting to fit in. And I think really that's a kind of theme in my life, as we'll get to, is just not fitting in and just something not quite right. So yeah.
Oh, well then what happened next?
Yeah, so I did okay at school and I applied to go to university, and no one in my family had ever gone to university. I'm from a relatively poor working class family in Scotland. So my family were very proud that I went to the University of Edinburgh. So I moved away from home when I was 18. So about 2 hours drive away from where I lived. It was quite a big step for me. I had a boyfriend at the time who was a couple of years older than me. He didn't drink at all. So I went off to university and I enjoyed my student life. And I guess the parental shackles were gone, and I really enjoyed my time at university, drinking and smoking. I never did drugs. That was something that never really was on the radar for me, but I got a real taste for alcohol as a student. So much so in my first year, I failed all my exams because I was always partying and not really studying. So I had a pretty good time at uni. I graduated from uni and then I decided I would go into the teaching profession. I had always wanted to be in the police. However, I put that in the back burner and I decided to get into the teaching profession. And whilst I was doing my teacher training, so I would be 21 at the time, everything sort of changed in my life for the first time when my father died. So my dad was 43 when he died, very suddenly. I was 21. Oh. My mum was 41 when she was widowed. My brothers were 19 and 10. And I remember coming home from the hospital after he had died, and I went straight to a bottle of whiskey. And I was drinking straight whiskey. and I was doing it to numb just the absolute agony that I was in. And that's the first time I really remember drinking to forget things and numb and using it as a crutch. So I was getting married 6 months later.
Did it
Sorry.
work? Like, was your recollection that it sort of worked, or how was that experience?
Well, it worked in the sense that it made me unconscious and just fall in my bed and go to sleep whilst in tears and just feeling awful. But when I woke up, I was just really hungover. My dad was still gone. I still had grief. I still had things to deal with, but I'd also had this horrendous hangover, and I remember doing it all over again. And I don't really remember my dad's funeral. And I have a lot of blanks in that time in my life. And I was planning a wedding at the same time. I got married 6 months after my dad died, so there was a lot going on at that time.
Yeah. It for sure reminds me of just, just doing the best you can with the tools you have at the time, just trying to cope. And
I think so. I was trying to be there for my mum. She just went to bits. She just completely went to bits. And, she's remarried now and she's living a happy life. But, part of my mum died that day as well, because they had such a good relationship, a loving relationship. My dad was always chasing her and tickling her and cuddling her and telling her he loved her. And I had such a happy experience with my parents. So part of her really was gone as well from that point and has never come back. Yeah. So it was pretty horrendous, but we've all got sad things that happen, I suppose.
Yeah, it's really hard. So what happened?
I was planning the wedding. So 6 months later, I was due to get married. So the big wedding in the church with the big dress and all the men in kilts, and it was going to be a big thing. So really busy, just threw myself into that, completed my teacher training, got married, and just as soon as I got married, I just thought, oh, something's missing, so let's get a dog. So we got a dog. And then I was saying, right, something's missing. Oh, it must be my career. Teaching wasn't really the career that I was happy doing. I was pretty stressed when I was a young teacher. I actually went back to my old high school as a teacher. I had just left 4 years previously. So I went back to work there and I was working with my old teachers, which was quite funny. But I decided to join the police. So I threw everything into joining the police. I had to lose weight, get fit. My husband was in the police at the time, and I thought, right, it's the police, it must be my career. Started working in 1998 with the police and the big drinking culture.
And what prompted, like, what was your, did you just know you were kind of called to that career, or how did that go?
I think so. I remember ever since I was little wanting to be a police officer, but I wanted to go to university, and I just thought, well, I'll do one and then maybe do the other. And yeah, I was so happy to join the police and make lots of friends, and feeling like you're accepted because you're part of something bigger. Again, this feeling of something, needing to fit in, needing to find something or somewhere to go. Where does Claire fit in the world? So that was a real identity thing for me, joining the police. But with that came socialising, shift work, stressful jobs, real horrible. I've seen some horrible things. And again, turning to alcohol to cope with a busy shift or to celebrate a good shift, coming home off night shift in the morning and drinking at 8 o'clock in the morning and then going to bed and wondering why I couldn't sleep and wondering why I had a terrible headache, and just my drinking morphed more into socialising, but also and a bit of coping. So then we started trying for a baby, because again it was there's something else. So let's have a child. So I had my first son in 2002 when I was 27. So I went back to work 12 weeks after I had him. So I was putting pressure on myself. I think we all do as women. We try to be the best mum, the best worker, the best daughter, the best wife. We try and do all those things. So I went back to work after 12 weeks and I took unwell at work, and I ended up with postpartum depression. So I had to take some time off. And again, that's when I remember drinking wine. I used to always drink vodka and beer. That was my kind of drinks. But when I became a mum, it was more wine. I don't know if that felt more socially acceptable to drink that wine, that mommy wine culture. And my husband didn't drink at all, so I was kind of hiding how much I was drinking at that point. Anyway, so I had my first son.
So just out of curiosity, so your husband was also a police officer, but he didn't drink? Was it because he had a bad experience, or was it just? Okay.
He did, yeah. He had a bad experience when I think he was probably just before he was 18. He had to go to hospital because he had drunk so much. So he never drank the whole time we were together, which meant anywhere we went, he was driving, so I could drink.
Right. So now you're like, perfect.
Yeah, I'm good. So that was the excuse to always have a drink. So after having my son, I thought, right, that things will settle, and get back into a busy life with a young child and pursuing my career. I was going for promotion as well because I wanted to go up through the ranks of police officer. And then I had my second child in 2006. And that was around about the same time I got promoted. So I get promoted to sergeant, which is the next step from constable, and I get promoted to a station that was about 40 miles away from my home address, so about an hour's drive. So I had to commute after having so I've now got a 4-year-old and a baby, and I'm commuting, driving backwards and forwards to work. I'm working shifts, I'm supervising, I'm still not happy, something's not right. It's just, and that's when I think the drinking really ramped up then for me, really, because I was really numbing my whole life, everything. And I'm happy to share that I did, not want to do bath time. I did want to speed up reading bedtime stories because I wanted to go and have wine, and I do regret that, and I won't get that time back with my children. But I did do that, so that was not a very nice time in my life.
I remember that period in my life so well. Also, just really rushing it through. And last night here in the US was actually Halloween, and we stopped at, like, all of a sudden, a lot of the houses, they have bars popping up, so you can go trick-or-treating, and they've got beers for the parents or mixed drinks for the parents. And they've got these just bars, like full bars on their street where all the neighbors are getting together, and someone's offering us drinks, and I was like, no thanks. And they're like, this is the only way we can get through it. And I'm thinking, like, gosh, there were so many things with kids that I tried to just get through with alcohol that are really so joyful, right? Like bedtime and stories is like such a joyful thing, and trick-or-treating with your kids is such a joyful thing. Like, when did we make it this burden to get through? So I just really, really remember that. I had a follow-up question on something you just said, which was, really, so you've gotten this promotion, you've got your 2 children, you've gotten your marriage, and for me, I felt like, wow, when everything I thought I'd wanted was in place in my life, ironically, that was when I felt really unfulfilled, and kind of my drinking increased. And I just wonder if that was the same experience that you had.
It was. To the outside world, I had the perfect life. I had a husband who adored me, who was a good man, who had a good job. We had 2 cars, we had a really nice house, I had 2 beautiful children. We holidayed in the US, we were always in Florida. So I had I was chasing my career, I had everything. But it's probably one of the loneliest times in my life, if I'm honest. And I was really lost. Where I was at that time. So it was difficult. So So I was working in Glasgow, and I was exposed to a different world. I was exposed to different colleagues and people from all different diverse kind of backgrounds and profiles, and I started working with people who were gay and, you know, and bisexual, and I got my eyes opened a wee bit working in this new environment with all these people, and I had new friends. And then I started to have feelings for someone at work who was female. And then I started to panic, and then I started to worry. And then I basically realised that what I had been seeking, what wasn't right, what wasn't fitting, is that I'm actually gay. And whilst now I look back and I'm really happy now, but my life just fell apart. Yeah. It just fell apart, Annie. I was terrified. I thought, I'm going to lose everything. I'm going to lose my kids and my family. I was brought up in church. That's where I met my husband. My mother's very religious. The police is a very close-knit team. Everyone knew my husband, so we were known as, you know, the couple who were in the police together. And I just everything just went out of control. I was drinking all the time. I was smoking. I lost 50 pounds. My mum thought I had cancer. And I couldn't speak. I couldn't speak to anyone. I had no one to talk to. I was so frightened. So eventually I managed to speak to someone at work, and they encouraged me to seek counselling. So through Police Scotland have counselling programmes. So I reached out to that, and I was put in touch with a counsellor, a local person who I used to go in secret, used to hide away to go hide my car when I was going to see the counsellor, in case someone saw my car, because it was a small village. So the counsellor really helped me to kind of talk through feelings and emotions and deal with, you know, what am I going to do now? Where am I going to go? And I very slowly, using the help that I got from the counselling, I started telling members of my family, told my mum, told my husband. Unfortunately, I had blurted it out one night when I was drunk to my husband, and I really, really regret that as well, because you can't take it back when you say it, and I almost spat the words out at him because he was so worried about me, and I was really just full of anger and just said something to him, and I couldn't take it back. So, but I managed to speak to him properly, and so it was a lot of work to do that, to build up the courage to move out, you know, find somewhere else to live, start my life again at 36, and tell my kids were 8 and 4, but I had to leave them in the home, at home with their dad. Whilst we had it wasn't an angry, argumentative breakup, it was just a sad, it wasn't that I didn't want to be with him anymore, it was just I couldn't be with him anymore. And so, but he did say that I couldn't take the kids, so I had to move out. But they came to live with me a couple of days, you know, a week. I told people at work were very good. My family were very supportive, my brothers, and I was very lucky to have, I did have a lot of good friends around me at the time, but it was so frightening, terrifying.
I have to say, Claire, that gosh, what a brave story. And I'm such a firm believer that the best thing we can do for our children is to be our true selves. Like there's nothing that's a bigger gift, is to be an example of being who you really are, because it gives them permission to be who they really are. And I just think like you could have made a different choice and you could have hidden and it would have been easier. But it's just so beautiful to hear, because it's just there's no more profound gift to your children than to to just follow who you really are and live into that, because it will give them permission for the rest of their lives. They'll see that as a shining light, an example, no matter how hard it was. So anyway, I just think that's just so awesome of you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's just, yes, I've had to process quite a lot since then, you know, with them, and I've got some stuff going on just now with my son, my second son. If you've read my blog, you'll probably see, but so things are, you know, that's what it is. I just try to be who I am now, and not, and I'm not looking for something else now. I am very content. I'm now 48, so I'm at that point in my life now where I'm content with where I am. But yeah, so things got better. It's not a sad story.
No, it's not a sad story.
No.
It's a human story.
Yeah, right, yep. And it's not an unusual one, actually. I do know other people that happened to. This late bloomers, they call it. But looking back, I loved my husband. Absolutely. He stood in that church and I made my vows. And I loved him and I wanted to be with him and I wanted my life to work out. I never stood there telling a lie. You know, I wasn't saying it half with my fingers crossed. I meant it. And I did love him, and I'm still very close to him. He's one of my closest friends now, now that we're through this. But yeah, so I just, so things just kind of, one good thing, my work were very good with me. They moved me back to where I live to work. So I was given a transfer back, so I wasn't travelling so much, commuting to work, and also I was closer to home, and so I could go and get the kids from school, and I could go and do the appointments I had to make, you know, to get my flat, and you know, sort my finances, and go to the lawyers and stuff that I had to do. So my work was very good that way with me. So I just made it work. I was actually, I remember standing in my flat that I got, and I went to pick up the keys with my mum, and we went into the flat, and I was so happy because it was just marking a new point in my life, and I was so excited. I'd done all the work with the counsellor, and I was really excited about getting my new flat. And I turned around and my mum was crying because she was thinking about everything that had been before. She wasn't thinking about what was coming, and I was so excited about what was coming in my life. But she was focusing on, oh, look at everything you've lost, you know. But I just remember thinking, oh, I can't wait to start my new life and just be the mum that I want to be for my kids. Yeah, so just take a wee drink. It's a little emotional.
Yeah.
So you want me just to tell you what happened next then?
Yeah. I'm enthralled. So carry on.
So round about this time, so just when I was just kind of got my new flat and was just moving on with my life, I actually met someone, and she came into my life actually through work. I did meet her through work as well, and we started sort of seeing each other, and I'm still with her. Her name is Julie, and she's just amazing. It's just been an amazing 12 years to have been with her, and it was just when she came into my life, I was at such a low point, but I was so happy. It was a kind of juxtaposition where it was sad, but it was happy. So I now had this freedom, if you like, because I didn't have my kids with me all the time. So Julie and I could go on holiday without kids. So a kid-free vacation. I'm sure you understand how nice that can be, even though we love them.
We make a joke that it's a trip if the kids are there. It's not a vacation. It's a vacation only if there's no kids.
So I was now in a position where I was away on holidays and weekends away. So it basically was party time party time for me. And Julie didn't really drink when we met, but I soon changed. I soon changed that, because it was all about, let's celebrate, let's get Prosecco, let's do shots, let's get cocktails, let's go all-inclusive holidays, and just when we go away and we're flying, let's go to the airport lounge and have lots of drinks before we go on the plane. And it was just real party type, really good times, really good fun times. But alcohol playing a huge part in that, if I'm honest. And almost it was becoming kind of woven into who I was, I think, because I was now finding this new my identity. It was almost as if that was becoming part of it. It was like, it was Claire, and well, Claire likes a vodka. So that's what people got me as a gift for Christmas or my birthday or anything. I just got bottles of vodka. When I turned 40, his house was full of bottles of vodka and Prosecco and champagne, which was very generous. But it just kind of, it turned from the thing that I went to help me numb and to help me cope with things. It turned into this, let's celebrate, let's go and just really drink as much as we can. So there was quite a few times when I would think, right, I'm going to moderate, I'm going to do that, I won't drink during the week, I'll only drink 2 beers, or I won't drink wine, and all the stories that I've heard on these podcasts, because I listen to this podcast every day. So all these stories, I was exactly the same. I would Google in the middle of the night, am I an alcoholic? I would question, my drinking, but I just felt, Annie, that I just made all my plans. All my plans were all based around it. Yep. When I wasn't drinking, I was thinking about it. I was planning what we would do on Friday night. How do we get there? Do we leave the car? We'll get the taxi. And it almost turned into, I started to resent not being able to drink. Like a night out, it was like, I thought, oh, I'll never enjoy myself if I go to that wedding and if I've not had a drink. And it just became such a big thing in my life. And Julie started to drink more with me, obviously. And we're known as the good time girls in the family, because we always turn up and we're the life and soul of the party, but half the time I didn't remember the party because I'd had too much to drink. And I'm very lucky we have a relationship that is very nurturing and very supportive, and we rarely argue. Sometimes, everyone argues, but when we did have real arguments, it would be when I had too much to drink, and you become unreasonable, and I would mishear what she'd said, or she would mishear what I would say, and you misconstrue it, and then one word says another thing, then another, and then before you know it, you're not speaking for 2 days, and everyone's miserable, and you just feel awful. So that was kind of happening every now and again, but I guess it really ramped up was during COVID, I suppose, very similar again. To everybody's kind of stories about lockdown and stuff. I got promoted again, so next rank, so I'm now an inspector. I think that's like a lieutenant, I think, over in the US, I think.
Sounds much cooler, so I like inspector.
Well, I like lieutenant. I think lieutenant Cagney and Lacey was one of my favourite shows when I was young, so I was thinking lieutenant, that'll do. So I had been promoted. So in the time that I've been with Julie, and we got married. Julie and I got married in 2012. So we've been married for 10 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I got promoted, and I was given a laptop, and I was given the ability to work from home. Just round about when the first lockdown hit in the March 2020. So, and that's when my drinking just went into absolute overdrive. I never drank during work hours because I'm on duty. and because I'm on duty as a police officer, I would never drink during 8 in the morning to 4 at night. But as soon as 4 o'clock rolled around, laptop was closed, open the vodka, drink till midnight from 4 o'clock, go to bed, get up, open the laptop, and it was just repeat, 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 every day, it was the same. So Julie did drink more during lockdown as well. She would be out in the garden, I would sit here and look out, and she'd be sitting in the garden having cocktails at lunchtime, and I would still be working and desperate to have my drink. So obviously, I mean, that was a good few months with the lockdown, and we have got a small caravan, like you hitch it up to the back of your car, so like I suppose a mobile home, you would say. And we had gone away for the weekend, and I had taken a big bottle of vodka with me, and I'd been drinking that at the weekend. We came home on the Sunday, and I was putting food away in the cupboard, and I looked at the vodka and I saw that there wasn't much left, but I wanted to have a drink, so I opened a brand new bottle of rum instead of finishing the huge bottle of vodka, because I didn't want to know how much I had drank that weekend, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So now I'm lying to myself. So now I'm like hiding, like I don't want to see the vodka, I'm going to drink the rum. And I remember opening that bottle of rum and thinking, why? What are you doing? Just don't have anything if you're worried that you've drank too much vodka. And I just said, no, I'll have a drink. So I drank quite a lot of rum that night. So this is October 2020. So I've done the kind of first 6 months of the lockdown, and Julie and I had a huge argument that night about nothing. Something was said, 2 of us were drunk, and we just fell out. So the next morning I woke up and I was sitting in my lounge at 6:40 in the morning. And I remember it, and I just thought, I'm just so done. I can't sleep. I'm always on edge. I'm always anxious, always had a feeling of that nervousness in your tummy, that I just wanted to be free. I just so wanted to get a break and forget about drinking and just try and do something about it. So my second son had told me about an app called I Am Sober, which he was using for self-harm. And it's a countdown app. So at 6:40 in the morning, on a Monday morning, the 26th of October 2020, I downloaded that app and I put in my details, and you have to do a wee pledge every day. I don't know if you know about it. There's a lot of people from the US on it. So you pledge every day that you won't drink, and then at night you review and you sort of give notes for your day, and you can reach, other people can message you, and it's quite a good support. You get daily motivation as well. And so I downloaded that morning, and my intention was I'm going to try and do 30 days. That was my intention. I am sober, 30 days, and just prove to myself that I could do it. Because the big thing here is dry January, dry July, all those kind of things. So sober October is another one in the UK. So I had no intention of stopping drinking forever or anything like that. I just thought I'll try and do 30 days, but I'll just try and do today. So that was good. The first day wasn't too bad. It's probably the best and the worst Monday of my life when I think about it. So I just switched on the laptop, started working, and I just thought, right, I'm just going to do this. 2 days later, so the first couple of days were pretty rough. I had real sort of cravings, and I just sort of tried to push them down and deal with them, but I wasn't really using anything to help me process my thoughts, my feelings and my emotions. I had nothing to do. I just did this app. And then I saw someone had mentioned This Naked Mind, and they had mentioned you. So then straight on to Amazon, got the book, started listening to the podcast, and it just was amazing. It just has totally changed my life. And 30 days did it no problem. Then I thought, right, I'll do 60. I did sign up for the alcohol experiment, but that was about 15 or 16 days into my 30 days. So, and that was amazing, getting the video every day. That really helped. So then 60 days in, I thought, right, I'll try 90. So I thought, right, okay, I'll try 90. And I got 90. And I'm thinking, right, wow, that's Christmas. Right, okay, I've got an alcohol-free Christmas. Can I do it? Well, I did. Right, okay, wow. And then I think, right, 100. And then you think, can I do it here? Don't know. I never set out to do it for a long period of time. And last Wednesday was 2 years. Last Wednesday, 26th October, was 2 years. And I haven't looked back, and I don't want to go back. I don't miss alcohol. I don't miss. I've done everything now. I've done, as you've said. I've been in all-inclusive holidays. I've been at funerals, at weddings, at parties. I've celebrated promotion, a job. I've celebrated all sorts of things. My grandmother died in February. I've been at funerals. I've done everything now. I've experienced every life event, and I have not felt like drinking at all at any of them. And I just feel so free. It's exactly what your book says. I have just found total freedom, and I never ever want to go back to where I was.
Wow, I have like chills. That's such a powerful story. Thank you so much for sharing that. How did it go in your marriage?
So it's good. So Julie stopped drinking with me that day. I told her, we made up after the argument. I showed her this. I showed her the app, and I said, I'm going to try this. So she said, right, okay, I will not drink with you today, as the phrase goes. And she didn't drink until the Christmas. She actually stopped, but she did have a glass of wine on Christmas Day. So she still does drink now, but nowhere near the amount that she used to do. She likes her red wine every now and again. She likes her whiskey. It's just part of that. She likes to do that. We went on holiday. We went on a cruise. We're just back from Florida on a cruise just a couple of weeks ago, and she had the all-inclusive drinks package. We're Royal Caribbean, and I had the soda package. But I had all the mocktails and all that. And I tried for the first time a Shirley Temple, because you always talk about Shirley Temples. So
sweet, but so good.
Yep. As soon as I saw it, I actually said to Julie, I said, oh, that's what Annie Grace talks about, a Shirley Temple. But I just don't miss it at all. And it's just, everything just made such sense, everything that you've put in your book. And I just think you are totally saving lives with what you're doing. It's just, you've definitely saved mine. Definitely saved mine. Because I think it would have just got worse and worse for me. And blackouts were a regular thing. And just, I was turning into someone that I didn't want to be. So I know I'm just am who I am. It's just, I'm just so much happier. And I'm going to retire soon. So I'm looking forward to retirement.
Oh, that's just so cool, Claire. I love how you guys have been able to not need each other to change too. I think that's it's such a huge testimony to this being for you. And, my husband, he doesn't drink anymore now, but it was 2.5 years for me before he actually was like, actually, none of us, we don't have any idea when he stopped, because it was just eventually he's like, hi, I haven't had a drink in a while. And then it had been a while, but it was, and I think it's such a cool thing to be able to be fully yourself, but also fully connected, and not have something as small as alcohol. And I know it's really hard for people, but how I see it is that if you are letting alcohol get in the way, if it's, obviously if there's really bad drinking where you're afraid for them or you're afraid of them or something, like that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
But in general, if they like it, you don't, or they want to, you don't, you're not giving alcohol any power by not having any force or expectation around another person's behavior. So I just think that's a specifically cool part of your story that is worth mentioning.
Yeah, thanks. I think she's such an amazing support to me, and she has got experience in her own family going to various groups and things. So there is, alcoholism in her family. So she gets it, and actually, you talk about alcohol being small and irrelevant, it actually is for Julie. She just still has a drink. But, she won't drink. There's loads of times where she'll say, no, I'm not drinking tonight, if we go out or go to a wedding or whatever. So just because I don't drink now, she says I don't have to drive everywhere. So, but aye, so I think I'm starting to now kind of evaluate where I am, and I'm hoping I'm going to retire in about a year and a half. I'm lucky I can retire at 50 from the police, and I'm really interested in looking at your coaching program, and I think that's where I probably would like to kind of go from now, and start to sort of share this. I have shared with colleagues from work who have bought your book and who have started listening to the podcast, but it's such a fine line. You don't want to be that person where they go, oh, no, here's this, she's gonna, here comes Claire, but I have got a couple here comes the mood hoover.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But so I would like to try and give back. I would like to try and give something back, which is why I was happy to give my story in the blog, and to do this is amazing, to meet you and have the ability to, and even if someone listening does, if they recognise a wee bit in my story, you can do it. It is totally doable if you just trust and follow the process that you've created for us, Annie.
Oh, it's so cool. What a cool story, and how fun. I would love to have you as a coach. I was thinking when you were talking some of your story, I was like, wow, this is so powerful. There's probably so many people going through similar things, and what a cool thing. I think that's one of the coolest parts about the coaching certification, is finding the people who were you 3-4 years ago, or were you, and just being able to be kind of that light in the dark, where it's just such a neat aspect of humanity, that the wounded healer of somebody not, let's go to school, let's learn all the important stuff, let's go through the stuff, but also that personal story of being there and understanding. And then, it's just really cool. So, all right, this has been amazing. Let me ask you the question that I kind of finished these up with, which is, if you were going to go back to Claire, who was so afraid and, drinking to numb all of can't even imagine what life is like not being a straight woman married with 2 kids. How is that going to work? And just tell her about how it's all turned out. What would you say?
Yeah, I've thought about this because I know you always ask this. So I think I would just say, I think the first thing I'd do is put my arm around her, and I would just say, you're going to be okay. Yeah, you're going to be okay. Things are going to happen. And if I told you what they are, you wouldn't believe me. Just trust. You're going to be okay. You'll end up happier, more secure, and you'll find yourself. So just, you'll be okay.
I love that. That's what we all need to hear from ourselves. And sometimes I even recommend that people go into their future and have that conversation with, from that perspective with their current situation, because I do believe we can kind of access ourselves among different points in time and get that wisdom. So it's just really beautiful. Well, thank you, Claire, so much for coming on and sharing your story. It's been really riveting and just so powerful, and you're great at telling it. So I just really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Annie, and thank you for everything and all the work you've done. And yeah, you're just amazing, and I think the whole world should know about you.
Thanks.
Are you ready to make instant changes to your drinking? The answer is not in restriction or deprivation, and you don't need more self-control. I am here to tell you that you can break your patterns and habits and finally feel liberated from alcohol. You can return to a life where alcohol's small and irrelevant for you, a non-issue, take it or leave it. In fact, we have 3 secrets to control your drinking, and we are going to teach them all live in a special 3-day free virtual event from June 6th to 8th. Learn the 3 secrets to control your drinking and make changes instantly live with us. Save your spot today at controlalcohollive.com. We can't wait to see you there. And as always, please rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast, as it truly helps the message reach somebody who might need to hear it today.